This is the Voices of Indy podcast hosted by Josh Gillespie. Voices of Indy is a show dedicated to giving you the opportunity to know the musical, visual, and theatrical arts of Indianapolis, Indiana. This week we are recording from the Russell Theater at the Phoenix Theater in downtown Indianapolis, and my guests are from the Phoenix Theater production of Tick, Tick, Boom, Patrick Dennson, Gabriela Gomez, Eddie Dean, and director Emily Ristine Holloway. Today's podcast is sponsored by Indianapolis Independent Entertainment. IIE LLC's goal is to help grow local DIY artists, freelancers, and businesses within Indianapolis and generate more paying creative opportunities. Their mission is simple: to establish a network of creatives who excel in areas of need and connecting them with other network members. This way, they can help to expand the local art and music scenes. IIE believes that by eliminating some of the intimidating barriers within the entertainment industry, more opportunities will be produced for local freelancers and businesses. This will help Indianapolis become the place to go for art and music in the Midwest. If you are interested in learning more, go to their website, www.indyent.com, that's INDYINDIEENT.com, and fill out a free application to discuss how you and IIE can redefine making it together. Like I said, with me is the cast of Tick, Tick, Boom. Guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast this week. Personally, I'm blown away that you're part of this. And I just recently watched Tick, Tick, Boom again, and I am thrilled to know what you guys can do with this. I'm going to start with Emily, the director. If you wouldn't mind, tell us what was your inspiration for wanting to do Tick, Tick, Boom right now?
Well, I didn't pick the show. The Phoenix Theater did. But I'm so thrilled that they're choosing to start their season with a musical. So I have had the opportunity to work on so many musicals at the Phoenix over the years as both an actor and a director. But they really haven't, I don't think they've maybe done one since they opened the theater here. And it was opened with a musical. So I'm thrilled that we're doing one again. And I think this is a great show to start the season with.
Really? It's the first musical since the very beginning?
Is that right, Tony?
I don't remember.
Maybe since Bright Star.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
It's been a while. Well, with the pandemic, it's been a while.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everything's been a while.
So there's certainly been quite a few seasons with, it's not unusual, to have seasons with no musicals. So it's really exciting to have this one.
Oh, I'm excited that it is part of it. Patrick, what does it feel like to play the lead role of John?
Well, the story itself hits very close to home for me because this show is all about an artist living in New York, turning 30, and I just had my 30th birthday, and it's all the things that somebody with a career that maybe isn't going exactly where they wanted to at that time, like they set a deadline for themselves, and now they're, maybe not hitting it, and it's kind of like, should I keep going? Like, I think that I have promise, and it's also like, maybe I could settle down and have a normal life, a quote-unquote normal life, and, I weigh all those things as an artist, and it's cool to see that Jonathan Larson, the writer of Rent and this Tick, Tick, Boom, that he did persevere and that he ended up writing a show that revolutionized musical theater. So
it really did. I mean, he really set a name for himself with one show and then his unfortunate passing, and that's just amazing. The legacy that you can have with just one piece of magnificent work.
Yeah.
Gabriela, you're playing Susan.
Mm-hmm.
What has this been like for you, playing the role of Susan?
Well, I too connect very deeply with the character, like Patrick said. Number one, Patrick and I are a couple, so that
yes, I was going to ask about that.
Yes, and it's been a really cool experience getting to play opposite of him. I don't know if we've done that in a while in a real musical.
Yeah.
And so I connect. We normally were based out of New York City, so we really understand that New York grind and really what it feels like when you have to weigh the decision to give up that. If you're there, if you want to make it on Broadway, you got to be there. But if you want to do something else and have security, you might want to go somewhere else. And so it's really cool to step into those shoes, and because we really relate to it.
I was imagine, how do you guys play off of each other? Knowing, I mean, since you are together, the roles of John and Susan, I mean, it's very intense between those two. And I can imagine having an existing relationship going into that. Does that play into it at all? Or, I mean, how do you guys work around that?
Yeah, and it's very when we were reading the script, we were like, this is a little triggering.
It hurts.
You know, like we've actually been together 11 years now, and but you know, there are times in the show where they get into little squabbles, and it's not we're not void of those. We've had our squabbles, so though we're good, we can pull on those things that have
can relate.
Yeah. So and in the end, it's just pretend, So
Yes, totally. And just I love getting to sing with Patrick, and so that's just the best in the whole wide world. Yeah.
Oh, that climactic song near the end where he's actually showing suburbia, and he just wrote the song, and he, at least in the movie production, in the Netflix production, he sees her singing it.
Come to your senses.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, that was moving.
Wait till you hear Gabby sing it.
All right.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Eddie, tell me about yourself. What's it like to play this role? The third man in a three-person cast. I mean, you're playing like Michael. That also is a very important role, very vital role. The interplay between him and Jonathan in the story is. I mean, the story would just crumble without it. So, I mean, how are you approaching this?
What a way to put the pressure on. I think my favorite part about playing Michael is similar to my favorite part about this show, which is just that, which Emily says often, the stakes are high for everybody. We're all in pursuit of something, and I don't know one person I'm connected to that's not in pursuit of finding out who they really are behind all the layers, or finding out what they want to do beyond what their habit has been, or finding out, do I really have what it takes to go after everything that life has in store for me, and will it take me out before I take it out, for lack of a better way to say that. But I think with this being a three-person cast, this is my third show, with a very, very small cast that way, and it's so intimate, it's so personal. And I think it's a lot less easy to hide behind maybe a big chorus or an ensemble cast. This really gives me the opportunity to really challenge myself as an artist, challenge myself as a vocalist, and to get to do it with these people, with Gabby, and with Patrick, and under Emily's wonderful direction. I just am honored to be here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. You are a native of Indianapolis.
I am.
And this isn't your first play at the Phoenix Theater, is it?
It's actually my second. So the first was a world premiere play called The Magnolia Ballet, written by Terry Guest and directed by the Michael Berg. And so my character actually was one that was the only person with musical elements. There were some, moments in the show where I would sing. So to get to do a full-blown musical just feels like I'm coming back home to do what this is all about for me, my heart's passion.
Yeah, I actually saw Eddie in that, and I said, "Can we get him for food?" So Pat and I have worked together since Pat was a child.
Oh,
my
so
goodness,
which is
really?
actually really interesting, because the first show that we did together was Rent.
Oh, see.
And I directed it, and he played the character in Rent that is autobiographical of Jonathan Larson. And I think that was in 2007. No.
I don't.
Was it 15? Maybe
Okay, so
15 years
I think
ago.
it was my it might have been 2007 or 2008, something like that.
Yeah. So
Wow,
Patrick's from here too.
Yeah.
Yes, I do know that.
Yeah.
Yes, both of you are.
I am here.
You are from Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm here.
Gabriela is not. I
No.
won't say anything bad about it.
But then I met Gabriela through Patrick.
Yeah.
So yes.
Amazing.
So we're all So lots of connections.
That is awesome. Well, Gabrielle, what do you think of Indianapolis so far?
I loved it. I mean, so this week has actually been kind of cool, right? Patrick's been doing another show at the same time finishing out his run. So I've been here solo for the first time ever. So I've been exploring by myself and getting to know it, and I love it. My favorite place is Yats. That's what I'll say.
That's a good choice.
Right.
That's a very good choice.
Yeah.
Very good choice. Yeah. And you two also have a band.
Yeah.
So you got the talent on this stage is impeccable. Is Eddie going to be playing in the band
Yes,
eventually?
at some point I think you should. He hasn't asked officially, but I think it's coming.
Do you play anything?
Piano, just a little bit.
Oh my God, we need you.
It's happening.
So tell me about your band. I mean, I don't want to take too far away from the play, but I mean, you guys are playing together. You're writing music. I mean, what's that like on top of everything else?
Not far off from, trying to figure out what you want to do with your life as an artist. Is like we were both like kind of in callbacks for different Broadway shows. There's this show called Sing Street. It's a musician, actor-musician show, and I got really close to getting that. It was before the pandemic, but and I didn't get it, and we were like really hoping that I would, and didn't happen. It was really, really depressing, and she had the idea for us to just sit down and write a song, and out of that, we've found that we've been together at that point for 6 or 7 years, maybe 8. I don't know. I don't remember. What is time? And we hadn't ever written music together, and then we did, and then we've now written like 50 songs or something. We haven't recorded all of them, but that's our next goal, is to record an original album, and we're actually going to be performing on some Disney ships coming up as a duo. So
Really?
yeah.
And
That's something that you're used to doing, though, isn't it?
Yes, I just was recently. I was working on Holland America, playing in a rock band, which at the time was out of my comfort zone, and so I got to like play like a rock and roll star. It was
If I remember the bio correctly, it said Rolling Stones. Were you up there strutting like Mick Jagger?
I had the moves like Jagger. Yeah.
You'll see them in the show.
Yeah.
Really?
what was the song you would fall on the ground for?
Oh, you really got me.
You guys should have seen him on the ground for You Really
Yeah.
Got Me.
Oh man,
It was a
Love
riot.
to see that.
It really got me out of my shell. So yeah.
So when you're writing music, is that any different than? Let me start that question over. Actually, when you're writing music, and I come at this from, again, just I was telling Emily that I watched Tick Tick Boom last night, just to kind of re-engage in that before meeting with you guys. But there's writing for a musical, and writing music for a musical, and then there's writing music for band performance.
Yeah.
It's very different, but very much the same. Do you see any overlap in the way that you guys approach that at all?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there is. There are times where we write songs that have no real like storyline or anything like that. I tend to write things that like have like a story to them, and she's a little more out there. Not out there. That sounds.
Would you say that you're a little bit country and she's a little bit rock and roll?
Exactly.
Yes, we like to think he's Paul and I'm John Lennon, like the weirdo and the lover.
We think we're the greatest songwriters of all
That's
time.
right, exactly.
Well, why not?
That's the goal. But yeah, I mean, so sometimes we'll think of a story and we'll try to like write from the perspective of a character. Like we had another friend who was trying to write a Peter Pan musical who's in Hamilton on Broadway, and he was like, I have this script and I'm going to send it to you guys and I want you to make it a song. And we did, and we love it. And so it's a really cool exercise. And I think in the long run, I think we really do want to write a musical as well.
Yeah.
Because it co-aligns with our passion.
And kind of marrying the two of not your typical musical theater song, but like kind of a lot like
is
that.
Jonathan.
No, absolutely, it's what I'm noticing.
So yes, stay tuned for this next season.
That definitely, yeah, you are definitely oozing the character even in real life. Eddie, tell me more about your background and how long have you been acting, and what has been your favorite role?
Oh, that's a really good question. So more about my background. I started singing at the age of 2. My mom tells me that it was Alicia Keys, If I Ain't Got You, in the window pane while it's raining. How dramatic is that? At 2 years old. My first role was an African king in a middle school play. And that turned into playing Seymour Krelborn in high school for Little Shop of Horrors. I was Horton for Suzuko the Musical. I was also Officer Eddie Souther for Sister Act at Broad Ripple High School before it closed down. So these were some of the things that tugged at my heart for musical theater being something that could be a career, be a passion for me. My first paid role actually was the Magnolia Ballet. So just getting to do this full time this year as an actor, and this being my 4th show, and working with very esteemed artists, it's just been amazing.
Have you found yourself working at a diner trying to get yourself up
You
and
know what?
running?
Right out of high school, I started doing this full time and have not stopped. So I think that's
Really?
nothing but a blessing. Yeah.
That is a blessing.
Yes,
That is
sir.
incredible. Wow. And Emily, you are a professor. Well, is professor the right word? But you teach at Butler.
I do, yeah.
So I read all the bios. Just I try to keep up on these things. So you are an actress, a teacher, or professor? Is it right
Well,
to call
I'm
you
not
professor?
I mean, I think that there's actually a lot of,
Adjunct.
yes,
Adjunct.
yes,
We'll say adjunct. Okay.
yes,
So you're an actress, a director, an adjunct professor.
yeah.
How many hats do you wear?
Well, you gotta scramble if you want to work in the arts in a city like Indianapolis.
Absolutely.
So yeah, mostly mostly I'm the artistic director of a theater company for young artists. So this is going to be our 20th season already. That's how I know Patrick. So I'm the artistic director at Summerstock Stage. We also have a professional branch of that is a partner with the Phoenix Theater. So we produce shows on the stage here as part of their collaborative collective. So I direct and produce a lot of musicals.
I guess so.
Yeah, we did a bunch of shows in the park last year during the pandemic. 6 musicals that season.
Really?
I did 6 this summer season. I guess, well, 5 and an Academy show. So yeah.
Were you directing all of them, or were you performing in some of them?
No. I don't perform in any of them.
Oh.
Yeah, I just I direct some of them and then produce all of them. Yeah.
Another hat.
But I also direct the musicals at Butler University within their theater major and teach musical theater seminar and acting classes there. And then every once in a while, I do a show too. I'm doing the Christmas show here at the Phoenix.
Really?
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So, but I'm really excited about this show. I think Indianapolis audiences are going to be thrilled to see this show. Especially, I think, after having seen the musical, that it just did such a beautiful job. But the theatricality of the show, the fact that Patrick gets to just play one character, but then these two actually don't just play those 2 roles. They actually play every other role in the show. So
Seriously?
Gabby plays
The agent Rosa.
his mom, Caressa,
Yes, the actress.
Judy, who works in the office,
Yes.
and Susan. So maybe 5 characters.
Michael works at a firm. I also play the marketing research guy at that firm.
You also play his dad
his dad, the counter guy,
at the candy store.
and
right?
Caressa and he meet. Or
Is there anybody
see
else
together.
that you play? So you play 4.
Who's playing Sondheim?
It's a voiceover because Sondheim is the story is that he left him a voicemail. Well, I guess back at that time it was probably just on his answering machine, right?
Yeah.
Not official voicemail. But, yes. So it's a lot of, and all of that's written into the sort of the DNA of the show, that character switching. So it's really fun in that way.
So tell me a little bit about what people can expect without giving too much away, because I feel like what you were describing a little bit earlier, before we started, you mentioned that there was going to be a way that you were going to be.
Yeah, so, Patrick knows more about the development of the show than I do, but I do know, it wasn't published in the way that it is now it wasn't put together in this way when Jonathan Larson passed. So Jonathan Larson died, I think most of your listeners probably know, right after the last preview of Rent. So he never really got to see the success. And that was 5 years after this show. The show takes place in January of 1990 when he's 30, and he was 35 when he passed away. Mm-hmm. So backing it up 5 years, he is really scrambling, like kind of what you heard from all of us. Like he is writing songs and hosting an event where he's going to, a showcase where he's invited a bunch of people there and hired actors to sing, and he's funding it himself. And so I think you're going to see, we all sort of know the success of Rent and what the end game was, but you're really going to see the steps and the sacrifices and the journey that it took to get there. Mm-hmm. I think, and there's a lot of heart and humanity in all of that. And I think you can start to hear some of the styles. So this music, it's one of the fun things about this show is like, it's almost like every song is a whole new style, mm-hmm. but you can start to hear as he's getting, and then the finale really starts to sound the most like Rent, which really kind of becomes his signature style. But you can tell in the way that he's thinking about the characters and the way that he talks about people. You can start to see the characters in Rent and the way that he is experiencing his life and his friends in New York City. You can really start to see that kind of, those sorts of things coming out in this show too.
So, Gabriela, I want to ask each of you this. What has been your favorite part of doing this so far? Because I know you still got a couple more weeks before you go live, but what's been your favorite part?
So many things. That's very hard to choose. I think doing a deep dive into Jonathan Larson's history has been really cool, and really seeing, because the weight of Rent really, it plays a character in this story in a way where you watch as the outsider and you see if you can just keep going through struggles, you can create your biggest masterpiece. You just have to keep going, and that really resonates with me as an actor as well. And so trying to take that theme home with myself, I think, is one of my favorite parts.
Eddie?
Honestly, I echo those sentiments, and I think I would add getting the opportunity to harmonize with these people. I'm telling you, it's such, but it's chilling. It's something that you don't find everywhere. Even when all the sounds are there, nothing's flat. There's something special about, I think, this particular dynamic that I think audiences will really enjoy, because the content is so personal to us, because the subject matter is so directly connected to what we're experiencing now. So there's a sensitivity to this that I don't think you'll find in a lot of places.
Patrick?
I should have been thinking about this. They're just so good.
You were just a good listener.
Yeah, just so good listening.
Thank you.
Yeah. They say the best acting is just listening.
Right.
Or reacting.
Right.
And that's,
See, I wasn't listening when they said that. I guess, doing the research, the show is so autobiographical because it started as Jonathan Larson's one-man show. And so, researching and finding the documentaries about him and finding what is actually true about these things that almost seem larger than life, but his life really was larger than life in some ways. And I love that finding out that he really wrote true to who he was, and I'm gonna try to take that as I go further. I think it's cool.
And Emily?
I think just there's a lot of authenticity in the struggle, and I love that he doesn't try to polish it up and make it look like it was all really easy, and it all came really easily for him because that's the kind of artist he was. Because that's just, no matter who we are, it's a difficult journey for all of us, especially coming out of this pandemic. So I am inspired by that, inspired by his honesty and authenticity about his struggle, inspired to maybe be more honest about mine as well, or and everyone's in the show.
That I resonate with what you guys are saying about it. Just again, because it seems so fresh after watching last night. Just the authenticity that he had. He was a man who was truly devoted to his craft, willing to sacrifice everything for the sake of his art, but then realizing at the end that he really did need those around him to survive and to make it through.
It's hard. It's so hard to figure out the balance as an artist, because you're constantly putting yourself out there, and it's you. It's you that's being vulnerable. People are judging you. So trying to figure, and once you've already invested so much of your life into that, it's hard to figure out, I think, where that balance is with not investing too much and making sure that you're still valuing your family and the people that you love. And, and that's what he's struggling with too, is figuring out how much can I sacrifice for this? And, is there a time, and of course there is, when you have to set it aside and move on to something else. But I love that Susan has a line where she's like, even if we move somewhere else, I'll still be a dancer. Like it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be in a certain place to be an artist. You don't have to be doing your art every single second to be an artist. So those are all great lessons, I think.
That reminds me a lot of when people, like when a show is just closed and people ask, so what's next? Sometimes what's next is just healing. Sometimes what's next is resting. Sometimes what's next is just figuring out how to get some solitude, how to just be still. And I just love that. To the note you were saying about her line, everything isn't about what you're about to do. It's just about existing, being who you are.
Do you find that sometimes doing this line of work can be a form of catharsis for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I also am a screenwriter and songwriter also. So I wasn't necessarily waitressing and doing shows. That wasn't necessarily my experience. Waitressing, is that the right?
Serving, maybe?
Serving.
Yeah.
I wasn't a server.
Okay.
But right out of high school, I began to develop a pilot called Rise the Series, and it also, very similarly to Jonathan Larson, is autobiographical. And so I thought that I was informing the experience, but it was always informing me. And there were often times where I would break down, or often times when, because it's so vulnerable, you need your friends to survive. You need your friends to continue pursuing that vision, because you're not just presenting something you made up. You're presenting all of your darkest moments, all of your, the most innermost personal parts of you. So that's something that's coming very soon. And I think it's so interesting that God allowed this opportunity to come right when a show like that, that's so personal to me, is also coming out. I felt like I had to get to a certain arc in my journey and healing to discover I can do this. It doesn't have to take X amount of years, and it can just be a part of my legacy. I'm not the wrong thing for this, and this is something that can still happen. So I'm very excited about that.
Have you written anything, Emily? I mean, you already wear...
Not
like
even
I
an
said.
email. If I didn't have to. No.
Not the writing type here.
Listen.
Not even an email.
Not yet.
That's
That's not in my skill set.
That's fine.
Yeah.
No, you
I'm
know
never
your
going to
art.
write anything. Yes.
You know your art.
No, I'm a talker.
So, that does kind of lead me. I mean, the show hasn't even started yet. The opening night is September 30th. That is, golly, 18 days away.
Okay, good, because Pat just got here today.
Yeah.
Oh, this is your first day on the set.
I've been Zooming in on rehearsals for music rehearsals, and I got here today.
Yeah,
got here at
2:30.
Yeah, I got in at 2:30. Basically came right here, and
How do you Zoom musical rehearsals?
You know what? Here's the thing. we are great communicators and problem solvers. So we can figure it out.
That's awesome. How did you figure it out?
Well, the pandemic, we know how to do everything over Zoom now.
Yeah.
You
Of
know.
course.
Yeah. So
Dumb question.
Basically, I mute myself because they have the music in the room, and so they're singing, I can hear them, and they just have to trust that I'm singing. I tell them, no, I got it.
Yeah.
And they just have to trust me. And then I get here, and then they can tell me if I'm doing it right or not.
How was the first night in the rehearsal?
It's
Like physically being here.
Oh, it's night and day. It's like that's how, it's theater. You're supposed to do it in the same room.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do it over Zoom.
Yeah.
So, it feels really good to be here and sharing the energy of everybody, and it's just so glad that I'm not doing it over Zoom anymore.
Do you guys feel whole as a cast now that he's here?
yeah.
He was the missing link. It's his story, and we're just playing in it,
We have two fantastic understudies
Yes.
too. So we were, they've been with us since the beginning, and we're filling in for him.
Well, that works out pretty well.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Holly, there's just I feel like there's just so much that I want to ask that I can't. That it's all just kind of cramming all at me
Well,
at
one thing
once.
I want to ask is
Yeah.
that I know a lot of people have gotten out of the habit of coming to live theater because live theater just shut down for so long. So we just want to ask people to come back out and join us for this. I know it's we haven't, audiences are just now starting to feel comfortable coming back. The Phoenix Theater has so many safety measures in place. And so please come back to live theater. We really need you. It's a small house, so your small party can make a big difference. And especially if you're a musical fan, it would be great to just make sure that we're selling this well to the city.
Here's the funny thing, and I was reticent to actually admit this. I'm not a musical fan. I know, but Tick Tick Boom might actually change me. I watched that, and
Have you ever seen any musicals with us?
no,
Have you ever
I
seen
haven't.
any musicals that we've done?
I haven't.
Well, maybe.
That might
Yeah.
change me as well,
I
especially
think.
seeing it live. I love live theater. It's been a long time since I've been
It's just
to live
musicals
theater.
are really, really hard.
Yeah,
They're
no.
really hard, and they're really hard to do well. They're harder to do well.
I'm looking at the size of this stage and seemingly the different alcoves and rooms. I don't know if this is what it's going to look like, but you don't have a lot of room to do a heck of a lot of work. How do you do something like that? How do you maximize what and again, I can't envision it, but how do you maximize this space to basically resemble, Midtown Manhattan and Soho? How do you do that?
The brilliance of Emily and our
We
creative
start
team.
meeting with the production team, which includes
Yes.
the scenic designer, and we're using a projection artist,
Oh, yeah.
and we have an orchestra that will be up on the second level, a lighting
You're kidding.
designer. So we start planning that months in advance. So we start meeting months in advance as we're planning this out, basically figuring out sort of just the canvas on which we want to tell this story. So, we all just have a lot of experience in its storytelling. So you don't have to see, a stop sign or a street corner to figure out where he is. So we just get creative.
And in the script, it being a stage production and not the film, there's a lot more, as the narrator of the show, telling you where we are now, giving you descriptions of there's this statue of Shakespeare over there. There's in the apartment there's a dishwasher over there. And then with projections and with the little suspension of your disbelief. You're in New York City.
And typically the show has been done with almost no changing of costumes, no set. This is a very expanded version of Tick Tick Boom that we're doing. So, I think once people saw the movie, that expanded the script so much that we're making an effort to also expand the theatricality of the play. But it is written with just almost as like something that you would do in a black box space, just really, really minimal. Yes.
Because I mean,
it's hard to believe after you've seen the movie.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
But I mean, he wouldn't have had money to produce anything that would have been anywhere near that scale. I mean, can you imagine him writing that and realizing that Lin-Manuel Miranda was going to someday do that movie version with all of those musical theater icons and everything? It would have blown his mind.
Yeah.
Oh.
I never thought about that. That's so nice. Like, I bet he's just crying up there.
I mean, really, yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
It is absolutely amazing. So, if you guys together have like one thing that you could ask, or anything that I happen to have missed that you feel like I should have asked.
I don't want you to feel bad. I had never heard of Tick Tick Boom before booking the role of Michael.
Really?
I actually did not know Jonathan Larson by name, and to begin to do the research and to begin to understand his story, how touching it is, and how many people are inspired by. I wasn't like a really huge Rent person either, and so to just do that research to live with the story, to live with who these people were, yeah, I don't think you're wrong in saying this is going to change your view of musical theater for sure.
No doubt. And I firmly expect to see myself in one of these seats.
Oh, yeah.
You're going
and I'm bringing my kids.
Great.
So that
yeah, it actually is a great show. I mean, for families, it's maybe PG-13, but there's nothing that, I think teenage kids and everything, I think they would love it.
Absolutely.
It's not quite as edgy as Rent.
Yeah.
Not
Not quite that edgy.
No.
Well, again, one big giant plea for those of you who have been neglecting to come to, maybe not neglecting, but have been just holding back on coming to live theater. Come back to live theater and come back.
It's 90 minutes, no intermission. You're just going to come in, have such a great time, and still have the rest of your evening.
Exactly. I mean, and seriously, if you question whether this is something like, I don't know, watch the Netflix movie, realize that this is a spectacular story, very well written, very well performed. The music is genuinely wonderful. And I'll admit that the thing, even though I am a musician, the thing that I've always had an issue with musicals is the spontaneously bursting into song and dance.
We're just going to...
but again,
I just don't think you've seen enough
I haven't.
musicals.
No, I haven't. I will admit that. And, and that's, again, when I was watching it, I was like, I've been wrong. And
I think there are a lot of people who share that.
No, I know that they share that sentiment,
but
it's wrong. I'm just going to say, I mean, that's not entirely what it is.
Yeah, and we're, I think when you said something like, how are you going to see Manhattan and how are you going to, like, we're not doing something that's based in realism, but we are doing storytelling, and we're doing storytelling with music, and that adds an entirely new, deep emotional level. Like the emotional reaction to music is so much more intense than just language. So I think even if you're, this Jonathan Larson was the first person to put kind of contemporary 90s rock music into musical theater, and he totally changed the landscape of and the sound of musical theater. So
and inspired like people like Lin-Manuel Miranda,
totally.
As he was inspired by Stephen Sondheim.
So yeah, come and check it out.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be coming to check it out. I encourage all my listeners and viewers to come check it out. Yeah, that's all I can say. Eddie, Gabriela, Patrick, Emily, thank you so much for being on Voices of Indy this week. You truly are a representation of a wonderful community, and a community that I feel doesn't get as much representation when people think about Indianapolis and art. So I really want to bring that attention to the theatrical arts. So I'm just thrilled to pieces that you guys were willing to do this. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been Josh Gillespie, and this has been the Voices of Indy. Thank you so much. My next guest will be comedian Stephen Vincent Giles, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks, and we'll see you again next time.